Beach Rescue Racer. SeaWorld San Antonio debuted a new roller coaster in March 2025. Though its actual name is overshadowed by the rebranding of the Sesame Street Bay of Play into Rescue Junior. The coaster itself offers surprising forces, especially for its size, and an upgrade to the kids area, which is at the heart and soul of this park for guests, was kind of needed. But does Beach Rescue Racer and Rescue Junior hit the mark? Find out in this review. The kids area at SeaWorld San Antonio actually started out past the Shark Aquarium in what is now the parking lot, before moving to Shamu's Happy Harbor. Shamu Express was built as the kid coaster for this section of the park, and it was anchored by a giant play gym with a splash pad next to it. Although simple, having a kid-friendly area like this was terrific for this park, as families with young kids can easily enjoy their day without having to worry about large and scary rides. 3 of the 4 main theaters are also located very close to this area, with the Sea Star Theater, though built for the pet show, traditionally hosting kid shows in recent years. First seasonal Sesame Street shows when the area was rebranded the Sesame Street Bay of Play, and then Imagine Ocean for the last year or so. Though simple, Super Grover's Boxcar Derby was a really nice kiddie coaster that offered a great combo with a twisted first drop followed by a sharp turn and a bunny hill. A combination I'd love to see on a larger scale coaster. It offered a fun ride while remaining small and very accessible to the smallest and scaredest of guests, which is important as the under 6 years of age group is really the key demographic for this SeaWorld park. While visiting last year over spring break, all of the coaster lines were relatively manageable for me, especially with my Platinum Quick Queue to help in case any of the lines got backed up a little bit. The one exception was Super Grover's Boxcar Derby that always seemed to have a 30-minute plus wait, and I came away thinking that this park really could use a second kiddie coaster to help these families. However, the park did not just add a second one. It decided to remove Grover, though it is listed as in storage on the roller coaster database, so I'm holding out hope that it will return, and place Beach Rescue Racer in its place. This is a Zierer Force coaster, which is the same type of coaster that Super Grover's Boxcar Derby is, as well as the other 2 installations at other SeaWorld or Sesame Place parks. However, this is a much larger version. So instead of those great forces on a bite-sized kiddie coaster, this puts those forces throughout a decent-sized family coaster. Overshadowing the coaster is the refresh to this area with the rebranding of Rescue Junior, as SeaWorld tries once again to lean into the rescue efforts to overcome the bad image they received from the 2013 documentary Blackfish. The chain tried this back in 2017, though that effort mainly failed as far as attractions go, with only Wavebreaker the Rescue Coaster still around from the rides they added to each SeaWorld park. And that likely is because it is a roller coaster and a very much needed family coaster at that. I'm sad to see the Sesame Street theming go, but it was only lightly done at SeaWorld San Antonio anyways. Unlike Orlando, they got a full Sesame Street area with really nice theming. Rescue Junior, though, does mean that the big man himself, Shamu, is back, and I've been wanting to see SeaWorld lean into this IP of theirs for a long time. I was really happy to see Shamu and friends during the So Much More to See parade over the summer of 2024. The rides don't reflect this as much, but there are 2 shows located at the stage in the Rescue Junior area. Rescue Junior Extravaganza-bration is a dance party style show, which is what SeaWorld seems to want to do with this stage here. The other is a Rescue Junior Animal Talk, which allows the animal keepers to come out and talk about different animals, a type of show that SeaWorld and Busch Gardens seems to be excited to do to highlight their animal care efforts. The ride lineup isn't too deep, especially for as big of an area as this is. Ocean Rescue Carousel and Tide Pool Tumbler were both rethemes from when these were themed to Sesame Street, and both are fine rides to have in a kids area. Seabird Swing was not open yet on my visit over spring break. And Ocean Quest Express is a fun family train that has a narration pointing out things about the ocean. While the theming is light and the concept is cute, I do like trains, and the overall ride is enjoyable. It is just hidden on the very far side of Rescue Junior, so it is kinda easy to miss if you're not paying attention. The area as a whole is anchored by their splash pad, called Sea Splash. This allows kids to run around and cool off in the hot sun, and seems incredibly popular with a key age group for this area. I still miss that play gym that was here, as that with the splash pad seemed like a terrific combo for the youngest of kids. But I can understand play gyms being removed nowadays. There are still a lot of empty areas over here in Rescue Junior, and likely SeaWorld rushed to get this set up by spring break, so I imagine that the park will add a bit more over the coming months and years. But we shall see what the future investment in Rescue Junior looks like. As for the roller coaster, it is located in the same place as Super Grover's Boxcar Derby, though a longer queue line was built, and this seemed to almost always have a semi-full queue, though it did empty out some towards the end of the evening. You can use your Platinum Quick Queue on this roller coaster, even though it's a new SeaWorld coaster, as I did this and I confirmed with the attendant that you could. So for those looking for a quick credit, it should be easy to skip the line. However, the line did move at a fairly decent clip with the size of the train, with one moving up about a row every time the train went. With 10 cars, this coaster can hold a decent amount of people despite it only running one train. Which, like, SeaWorld really could have invested in a version of this coaster with 2 trains, despite SeaWorld San Antonio's general insistence on one train operations. As for seat placement, the front offered great forces as you're pushed through the various elements with the long train, and I have a slight preference for the front row. The middle is going to give you the best airtime over that final bunny hill, though it still is not going to be too much. The back might give a bit more whip on that first drop, but the other seats magnified the first drop as well, so it really wasn't noticeable to me. The height limit though for this coaster is a bit strange, as it is 38 inches with an adult, a nice really low limit for kiddies or a family coaster, but 48 inches to ride alone, so Texas Stingray has a lower ride alone height than this family coaster. 38 inches is also like really small, as the kids that they were measuring were like absolutely tiny. Though with it being a bigger looking coaster, many in the 3 to 4 year old range could be scared of this. I know I would have been as a kid. And that seemed to be the initial sentiment from the SeaWorld San Antonio Facebook page, that parents missed Grover's Boxcar Derby as their 4-year-olds were not brave enough to try and ride this much larger coaster. The coaster also has tight restraints that come down on your side, which really squeeze you into the car, especially as an adult. You still get great forces throughout the ride, and there's little airtime to be had on this coaster anyways, but if you're on the bigger side, this could make riding this coaster uncomfortable. Dispatches seem to be fairly fast on this coaster though. Like with any kid or family coaster, they can take a while as many riders might simply not know what they are doing while boarding. But the rides seem to have a lot of staff and worked through dispatches fairly quickly. Though, not super quickly. After dispatching, you go up the lift hill. That does get you high enough to see some of Aquatica, which is a unique visual from a ride at SeaWorld San Antonio. Then, the madness begins. The first drop is a curved drop, so you don't get solid drop feelings. At least, I don't as a seasoned rider. If anyone is more sensitive to drops, I'd really love to know where on this ride was super scary for you, as I'm sure this coaster can bite those who are a bit more drop sensitive. After the initial drop, there is an elongated bunny hill, so no or very little airtime, that transitions into a super shallow drop down to the ground. But the combination of this very mild airtime and the feeling of falling down forever, it really kind of reminded me of Titan's first drop, as that drop just feels like it keeps going and going, much longer than it should. It makes for a really nice first drop experience, though, probably a little bit too strong for a kiddie coaster. After this, the coaster goes into helix time, which are more curved drops than true helixes on this coaster. But they do offer wonderfully strong forces. I've bemoaned other helix-focused family coasters as being boring and rather forceless, but this provides incredibly strong forces throughout the entire experience. And with that extra long drop, you go through this section with more speed than you really have any right to have. Just getting off-ride video from the exit line made me dizzy, having to chase around this coaster. Though on-ride, it's not really disorienting, other than the positive G's that will hit you in the various valleys. Some of my POVs, my wrist mount was knocked backwards because of the strong forces on this ride, and it was a true fight each time trying to keep the camera steady, one that I sadly did not always win. An issue that I can't really say that I have with the other coasters here at SeaWorld San Antonio. After these two helixes, there is a valley where you change direction. This really isn't too noticeable, as it's not really different on-ride versus the other valleys in the helix. Though you do notice the jerk to the right following the valley with the directional change, though it just leads into, yet again, another helix. Next, you have a bank turn that looks like it could offer some interesting forces, but is really just a turnaround, though you do still get similar forces to the prior helixes, just a little bit less here. Then comes that bunny hill, which doesn't hit that nicely compared to the incredible forces you've gotten so far, but does give a small pop of airtime, which is most notable towards the middle of the train, before heading into the brake run and back to the station. Overall, how good is Beach Rescue Racer? As a kiddie coaster, this coaster does too much and is a bit too scary for the youngest of guests, making it not too great of an upgrade for SeaWorld San Antonio. But as a roller coaster, this thing rocks, especially for its size. With its ability to dish out incredible forces between its long drop, strong helixes, and minor airtime pop finale, while still being a solid family coaster. I placed it ahead of 3 coasters at SeaWorld San Antonio: the Great White, Wavebreaker the Rescue Coaster, and Journey to Atlantis, as it provides that strong of an experience. And in my overall rankings, right above Penguin Trek at SeaWorld Orlando. while that is a fun family experience, Penguin Trek is really all about the theming with a rather mild ride experience. And I placed Beach Rescue Racer right behind Raptor Coaster at the Houston Rodeo, which offered decent drops and strong forces throughout its layout, but wasn't nearly as good as Runaway Mountain at Six Flags Over Texas, when that coaster is running in peak form. Beach Rescue Racer does a lot of things well for this size of a coaster, and is a great family coaster for this park. I just know I'm going to miss this park having a true kiddie coaster as well, though. Are you excited for the Rescue Junior area at SeaWorld San Antonio? Do you love Beach Rescue Racer as much as I do? If you're scared of drops, let me know how the drops on this coaster play for you. And as always, Kapkun Krap.